Hi, Lloyd Rieber here to demonstrate a very early prototype of one of my latest LiveCode projects. I'm calling it, for now, simply Lloyd's Video Analysis Tool. I'm building this tool as a way for educators and researchers to review or analyze a video and add tags and comments for as many video segments as they wish. But I think it will be good for anyone who wants to annotate a video in some way. So let me show you how this early prototype works. As you can see, I've already loaded a video, so let's start there. And it has a very standard video controller or video player. So let me go ahead and start the video.
Hi, I'm Lloyd Rieber, and I'm going to be your instructor for this open online course called Statistics and Education for Mere Minds.
And as you would expect, I can pause the video, start the video. I can move the video head anywhere I want. That looks like an interesting spot right there. And I can even fine-tune the video frame by frame using these buttons right here. Now these were built into the player. You can see I've also built my own buttons right here. So I can also play and pause there. And it does nothing more than what this button right here does. So, but it's a little bigger, might be a little bit easier to control. I also built these two buttons that will advance the playhead 1 second or rewind the playhead 1 second, which might be very important when I want to start identifying video segments. Now let's take a look at how you identify video segments. That will take us into this blue zone, which I call the editing zone. And the way it works is you first simply start by going to the starting point of a video segment. So let me just go to where I think would be a good starting point. Right there, looks good. And I click the button New. And it creates an entry. And I'll explain later a little bit what these numbers mean. Let me go ahead now and play this video entry and see what we get. And what we get is a 5-second segment. So the default for a new segment is 5 seconds. But I can change that or update that very easily. So for example, I might want to use these controls right here. Let me just go ahead and add a second, another second, another second, another second. So that's great. I'd like it to end right there. I have to go into the editing zone and click on Update the End. And when I click on that, you saw that number, I hope, change a little bit. So let me go ahead and play again. And let's watch to see where the ending point is this time. Yeah, that was excellent. So I have a video segment. Let's find another video segment. I have this one here on Ted Williams, a Major League Baseball player from the 1940s. So I have the playhead at the starting point. Let me now click on New for New Video Segment. And if I click on that segment and click play, last Major League Baseball player to hit 400 in a season. And again, I get a 5-second segment. So again, I'll use the 1 second controller here. And I might even then use this to go frame by frame until I get to the point that I want. And then again, I'll click on Update End. And I'll now click on that entry and click play. And I have that segment identified, and it should stop right at that spot. Perfect. One more. Let's go back now to the very beginning. And I'm going to log that one. So let me go ahead and click New. And let's go ahead and play that, and we'll see it goes only 5 seconds.
Hi, I'm Lloyd Rieber, and I'm going to be your instructor for this open online course.
Very good. And again, I can just do whatever I want to get to that particular place that is just perfect for where I want to end the segment. Okay. Again, I'll come over here and update the end. And again, I'll just play it to make sure I'm where I want to be. So I have these 3 entries. Now, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what these numbers are all about. First, remember this is a prototype, so I have a lot of work yet to do. What I have here is an entry with some numbers. Now, over here on the left, you might recognize these numbers as being time code. And indeed, the first entry, if I go and click on that and start to play it, it does go to 20 seconds into the video and then plays for another, looks like 9 seconds and stops when it comes to the 35-second mark. Well, as it turns out, LiveCode doesn't look at video that way. It uses another numbering scheme, and I will explain that more in follow-up videos and blog posts. But what I'm doing here in this early prototype is taking what LiveCode likes and converting it through some programming into what a human being would probably like. And that's really all I have so far, is these two fields with, again, the LiveCode numbering scheme and the time code that I think you and I would probably make much more sense out of. Now, let's take a look at the next part, and I think the very powerful part of this prototype and where the prototype will be going in the versions yet to come, and that is being able to add tags and comments to each of the video segments. This brings us down into this yellow section that I've titled Tags and Comments. Maybe I should have titled it the Tagging and Commenting Zone. That would have been a little bit more apropos. But you can see it says you have no tags yet. So I need to press Edit Tags to create some. So let me press or click on Edit Tags. And it's just a text field that I can start entering tags. So if you were following along at all with that video, you might have seen some things. For example, I had a bowling ball there. At one point, I also had an accordion. I also had baseball. And I had something called a normal curve. So what I'm doing is I'm typing tags on each line. When I click on the button Generate Tags, voila, it creates those tags. And if I click Edit Tags, I can go back in here and add more. Perhaps I want to add something like inferential statistics. And I can also click the Sort button, and if I generate tags, it will create those buttons for me. Obviously, that's a little too long a title for this particular button. So how does this work now? Well, what I need to do is go back to a particular entry, and again, I can play it.
Hi, I'm Lloyd Rieber.
So I know which one it is, and I think for this particular one, I would like to tag that with the accordion. And you can see that I've added that tag to this particular entry. Okay. Now I also want to add a comment to that particular entry, so I'm still there, so I'm just going to go ahead and click on the button Add Comment to Entry. And I think what I will enter is something like Lloyd provides a welcome to the course. That's not too good. How about Lloyd welcomes everyone to the course? I like that better. Click OK, and it adds that to that particular entry. So let's go and do it one more time. Let's go to this one here. Let me click play. Ah, yes, I remember now. It was all about Ted Williams and baseball. Let me pause that. So for that entry, I want to click on baseball. That's good. And I want to add a comment or entry. And how about a historical example of statistics? There we go. Click OK. Excellent. Now in this very early prototype, I can only add one tag to each entry, but I already know that that's not going to work. I can see the need to be able to add as many tags as I want for any particular entry. You can also tell too that this is not a very pleasant way of looking at the entry, and so what I will be doing is certainly improving how the log is being actually recorded and represented or displayed back to the user. So that's something definitely to work on in the days ahead. But I hope you get the idea now of what I can do with this. And I will say too, one nice thing about this approach, even as it is right now, this is just a text file with all of these entries, each line being an individual entry, and the commas are separating the very important parts of the entry itself, and that has a lot of possibilities for how we can actually use this when we're all done. Now let's see what else we have here. You can see down below I have some buttons: create reports, export and email the file. I also have an area here to be displaying, as it says, comments here. Well, all of these do not work yet, but I put those in as placeholders as examples of some obvious functions or options that I will need to give the user. So even though they don't work yet, I wanted to make sure they were represented. And I think it gives me also a good idea of where the prototype needs to go. Well, that's it for now. And yes, I know I have a lot of work to do. But as I work on this project, I'll post more videos to show my progress.